Hello, and welcome to Cornell's Spring 2021 Convocation. The word convocation, as you may know, comes from the Latin convocatio, a calling together, and from the verb convocare, to call together. At Cornell, our convocations traditionally call us together to mark the beginning of the semester and to give us a shared starting point for our work. This is a convocation, but it isn't. As a Cornell student, I attended many convocations, but they were in King Chapel. I can't call us together in King Chapel today, but like a good Cornellian, I am adapting our opening convocation tradition to our current pandemic circumstances and calling us together virtually. President Brand extended this invitation to me because our pandemic circumstances have also prevented me from getting to know most of you in the ways I'd hoped to since I became Cornell's new Provost and Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs on July 1. So I'm calling us together virtually to introduce myself to you and share my Cornell story in the hopes it helps you think about your Cornell experience and how it's preparing you to be the change agents and leaders we need in challenging times. My time at Cornell began in 1988 with the election of what turned out to be a disappointing one-term president. It included a war in the Middle East that raised fresh questions about the U.S.'s use of power to protect its access to oil. It included a contentious Supreme Court nomination that ignited a national debate about systemic sexism and racism. And it ended with a recession. At that time, the deepest recession since the Great Depression. That all probably feels like small potatoes now, but it felt like enormous upheaval and uncertainty at the time. What prepared me for the uncertainty that I graduated into, and what I've relied on ever since, is my liberal arts training that I received at Cornell, because that is what has prepared me to expect the unexpected and what gave me the foundational skills I needed to become a leader. You would not have pegged me for a future leader upon my arrival on the hilltop. I had some raw talent, but I was socially immature, and I struggled for a while to balance my new adult freedoms with actually behaving like an adult. I would have been really lost at a large school. I thrived in an environment where I had close relationships with my professors. In small classes on the block plan, they could see potential in me I didn't see in myself yet. The block plan suited me because it was immersive. It focused me and gave me sustained practice and focus in reading, writing, thinking. My professors could also invest the time it took to teach me how to read and write and think. And it did take some time. I was pretty crushed by some of the grades I received on early papers, but through the guidance of my professors, I shifted from summary to argument and from assertion to support. It was equally important to them that I learned how to exchange ideas with my classmates and discover that meaning-making is a team sport. I started to listen to what my classmates said, and I learned how to participate in tough conversations. I got the hang of it. I learned how to ask substantive questions, consider diverse perspectives, draw on multiple disciplines, and complete projects individually and collaboratively in intense, immersive environments. I learned writing is a way of thinking. I examined how art, music, and literature were constructed, and I practiced making my own. I learned how humans have organized themselves and made meaning of their lives throughout history. I learned how to see and question cultural norms and gendered and racialized structures of power. I became a feminist. I developed my imagination and my capacity for empathy. I learned how to learn. And I learned that I could do amazing things in 18 days. During my time at Cornell, third block each year was a Shakespeare course that began on day 1 with auditions and ended day 18 with a full production of a Shakespeare play in King Chapel for the campus community. I finally got into the class my junior year, and after class in the mornings, we rehearsed and built the sets and costumes in the afternoons and the evenings. The performance was a success, even though the lead broke her legs 2 days before the show and performed on crutches. These experiences changed me profoundly. It was work to have my worldview challenged. It was work to read, reflect, write, practice, argue, and revise my thinking to figure out what I thought and what I believed. But these experiences also cultivated my curiosity to know more, to know how the world worked, to be a part of something that felt larger than myself, and do something that had an impact. I wasn't exactly sure where to start. The recession had made jobs in the U.S. scarce. So after graduation, my boyfriend and I went to Japan to teach English, and I was immediately thrown into the deep end, teaching children and adults of all ages and ability levels. My qualifications for the job were exactly 2, my bachelor's degree from Cornell and my native English speaking ability. After so many years as a student, I needed to construct a meaningful learning experience for students of my own. I also needed to adapt to a new language and culture. While the context was different, my classical studies degree had given me plenty of experience as a language student and excellent teaching role models and mentors to emulate. I pulled together my first classes, and even though I was the teacher, it was all experiential learning for me. A year in Japan taught me that I loved teaching, and I was good at it. But I was ready to return to the US. The sexism and the discrimination I experienced was very painful, and a critical learning experience as well. I was aware I had the privilege of returning to a place where I was part of the racial and cultural majority. And I was equally aware that as painful as my experiences had been, there were other times that I had enjoyed privileged treatment as a white Westerner in the racialized hierarchy of foreigners in Japan. I also missed academia. I saw graduate school as the way to pursue scholarship and teaching. Graduate school did allow me to do both. I specialized in rhetoric and composition studies and sought out opportunities to teach writing and work with English language learners and underprepared students. And that experience gave me my first opportunities in administration. I joined a team of graduate students who directed the undergraduate writing program of the faculty member, developing curriculum and teaching new teachers how to teach writing. All feminists, we often discussed what it meant to be women and be feminist leaders. That was a turning point for me. I realized it was important to me to be impactful beyond my own classroom. When I became a professor, I sought out opportunities to train other faculty. And over the years, I built writing, women's studies, and interdisciplinary programs. At the large public universities where I earned my master's and doctorate and then taught for 15 years, I saw how different my students' experiences were from my liberal arts training at Cornell. I gained a new appreciation for the privileged experience that I had enjoyed, and I developed a strong sense of responsibility to extend the educational opportunities to others so they could realize their full potential too. That sense of responsibility led me to seek other leadership opportunities in my community as well. I joined the boards of community organizations that served underprivileged youth. I learned about grants and budgets and marketing and fundraising along the way. I was twice a Fulbright scholar in Vietnam. And when I returned from my second Fulbright, which was just as challenging and life-changing a cultural immersion as my time in Japan had been years earlier, I was ready to bring that experience into higher administration. Like my Cornell professors before me, my university president at the time recognized my potential, and she sent me to a leadership institute for women. That experience expanded my network of mentors and gave me the confidence I needed to be successful as an associate vice president and then to seek the vice presidency in the provost role that I now hold at Cornell. My guiding principles include these. It is important to bring people together as a team to work for common cause and shared values. It is important for the team's direction to emerge from our collective insights and strengths. I'm not interested in top-down leadership. It's important to build a diverse team and choose people who have backgrounds, perspectives, and strengths that I don't have. And it's important to develop people's capacities, to invest in them, to see and cultivate potential that they don't see in themselves yet. In all these situations, knowing how to expect the unexpected has been my life preserver. Leadership requires daily adaptation to local conditions, which may include derechos and pandemics. And through all of this, I've found that the foundational skills I acquired at Cornell have sustained me and created new opportunities for me. My reading skills, my written and oral communication skills, my organizational skills, my ability to work on a diverse team, my ability to synthesize multiple perspectives, my ability to listen, and my ability to learn new things quickly. So what does this all mean for you? Your Cornell education will prepare you to become change agents and leaders in healthcare, in business, education, the arts, the sciences, and engineering, even though many of the jobs you will hold in your lifetime do not yet exist. Your liberal arts education will prepare you to be at the table as the designers, the creators, and deciders in your communities. You are building the essential foundation in critical thinking, analysis, and communication, as well as the continuous learning mindset that will allow you to expect the unexpected and to thrive. It may not feel like that right now. COVID has upended and challenged and traumatized us. But look at how we've adapted to recreate the most important parts of our learning experiences. Your faculty and all staff at Cornell have worked incredibly hard and done a tremendous job to move your Cornell education into hybrid and online spaces and to support you. College is supposed to be a practice run, a safe space to make mistakes and prepare for adulthood. But COVID means this is not a drill. There are real consequences for our actions. Not only can we not come together for this convocation, we can't come together in classrooms and dining halls and offices on the athletic field, not yet. But we are getting invaluable practice in learning how to sustain relationships, communities, and cultures, even when we cannot come together in person. I promise you, we will be able to come together again. This is all training, all practice that you will use in the future. Not only are you learning you can do anything in 18 days, you're learning you can do it on Zoom when you have to. You're learning to adapt how you learn. While I don't know what they will be, I know you will have other, this is not a drill, experiences in your careers and your lifetimes. And I'm confident that you will be important members of your communities. You will be change agents. You will be leaders then, because you are here learning to expect and adapt to the unexpected now. Have a great block. Take care of yourself. Look out for each other. I hope to see you in person soon to continue the conversation. Thank you.